So let's come on in. I won't make people move too far today. It doesn't really matter with gi or no gi. I'll do one particular attack with the gi. It's going to be a bow and arrow choke. I approach it a little bit different than maybe the traditional way of doing it, but really want to get you guys to see is going from kind of the traditional way that we teach, back control seat belt, going into a version that I like to use. So where's Matt? Okay. So just going to start off first just talking about that part of it. For those that don't know me, I'm Matt McPeake from Canada, so I'll get that through. Yeah, just sit down here. I'm going to take you back. So there's lots of ways to get back, but typically when we teach back, you know, we have our hooks in, then we have our seat belt, and we're going from this position, right? A lot of people, you've learned back control from here. What I don't like about this is my hips and shoulders are square with him, right? And as I'm coming with my seat belt, I don't like having my elbows away from my hips. No matter what I'm doing from a control standpoint, when I'm doing my submissions, my mind's always, I have to be tight. I want to have my elbows to my hips. So when I'm here, this elbow's high, right? And what's one of the first defenses that we learn from this? You know, he pops the elbow up and over and we go. And that really sucks. And now you're fighting from different positions. Okay? So what I want you to, so I don't find that this is a really good level of control. So we're just going to do a little drill. And what I want you to do is just get your partner here and don't use your hands. You can use your hands to kind of lean back, and then using your legs, just try to keep your partner inside there. So go. Go, go. Right? It's very easy for him to turn. Okay? So just try that for like 1 minute. I just want you to see that without the arms, if I have the arms and he goes, I can kind of control and I can play. But without the arms, it's really hard for me to control, right? He can pop and go. You do a lot of things and disconnect, right? So take like 30 seconds, grab your partner, do that, and then we're going to shift to a different angle, and then we'll get right into the kind of control and attacking sequence. Okay, let's go. So without the arm grips, it's very difficult to keep someone in that position where we're straight on. And especially if they're bigger and stronger than you, you know, they do this stupid stuff where they plow you back. And this just really sucks, okay? There's ways to get out of that, to pop it up and go. So what I want you to do now, we're gonna change the angle. Okay? You change the angle to here. And I'm gonna almost kind of like a seated crucifix position. This is where I like to be. Now my elbows are into my hips, right? So if you've ever watched Preach stuff and he talks about his grilled chicken and that, I'm kind of in that position. I'm here and I have control. Okay, he's in the pocket, his shoulders are off the ground, I can control his hip, I can control his arm, and I have his head. Now what I want you to do, without the hands, control, go. Okay, so what I call this is the power line, from his shoulder to his opposing head. If I can control this, I control his ability to generate power and momentum, his kinetic energy to get up. When I'm here, I don't control that. When I'm here, this leg across, and now being able to pinch, I really have this strong connection between his shoulder, keeping it up off the ground, and the hip, and now I can control that head. This makes it very difficult for him to maneuver. Now it allows my hands to play, right? I can use them to base out, I can use them to defend his hand grips, to start applying my chokes, and going after my submissions. So what I want you to do is just get your partner in this position here, lock it in. Your legs should be kind of unweighted, like I'm sitting on my ass, right? They can come down, but I'm really kind of crunching in, and my hands are just gonna be here to stabilize. I really want you to just kind of pinch with your knees, kind of kick out with your feet to kind of control your partner, to keep them kind of flat and on their side, okay? And you should see that this is a much higher level of control when I'm in this position. And this is where we're gonna work from for the rest of the seminar, okay? Make sense? Let's give it a try. Yeah, sit in that punch, right? Still, inside that box. Who felt a stronger control, right? Much stronger control. It allows my hands now to do other things. Instead of to control, I can use them now to submit. Okay? So just come back in and center over the mat. So they've got that saying, submission before position. My whole thing is controlled position before controlled submission. So I want to make sure that when I have my opponent locked down, that I have a high level of control, and when I go for my submission, it's highly controlled, so that I don't have to rip on them and maybe give up my position and damage my opponent, but I can slowly put it on. I can crank it hard if I want, or I can put them to sleep slowly, or I can break the arm slowly and give them that chance to kind of, tap, especially when you're training. If you go to a tournament, that's up to you how you want to play that game. So first thing that we're going to look at here is once I get, and I'll show you a gi version of what I want to do from here. We're going to get into just the control of the head. So once again, I want you guys to really think about pulling elbows in, because it gives me a nice proud posture and I'm strong here and I can bring my heels and I can really control. So what I'm going to do, my radial bone, either on his on his jawline, or if I can get it on the carotid, I don't really care. On this one, I'm getting more of a reaction out of him. Okay, some people will tap from this. If I can get on the carotid artery, sometimes I can choke, but I want a reaction. I want him to think. I'm going to go with an overhand grip, and I'm going to pull in and up. Okay? And I'm drawing my elbows in, and I'm using my chest to push him in. I never do one directional. I'm not just going to pull. I'll never do a one directional when I do my taps. I want multiple direction so that I can really crush. So this is kind of like a guillotine motion. Okay? So when I'm doing this, I'm not thinking about pushing my thumb into my chest. I'm thinking about rotating it and bringing my thumb to my shoulder. Okay? That's how guillotines work. If I try to pull it into my chest, or when I choke and I try to pull to my chest, I leave a huge opening. As I bring my thumb to my shoulder, I close the gap. Okay? That's my noose. So when I'm in here, I'm going to drive and bring it up. So even if I don't get the submission, this feels tight. Okay? And I can start really grinding. Okay? And get him to start thinking about other things. He will think about this and forget about everything else at this point. So coming in underneath, boom. And my legs are tight. I use my legs to help. He's got a nice pillow. It's nice and tight in this position. There's no space. The noose is kind of locked in, and I'm just going to pull in and rotate up. Okay, using my whole body. Okay, I'm not leaning back and letting space open. I'm pushing in and crushing at the same time. Okay, makes sense? Let's give it a try. Position is crucial, just really quick, and I'll let you get back. So when I have this position, I want to cut my arm all the way in underneath, like as if I want to open his chin. Like this is how deep I want to get underneath him, okay? Because we're going to use this, I'll show you with the gi of how I want to feel. This is an uncomfortable position too, right? I can punch him. But I need to be in here and I want to pull it back. So if you see, my forearm is on the inside, my elbow is back in my hip. I don't want to be here, right? He can pop his head out. I want it to be completely underneath so that his head is resting on my forearm, which is resting on my leg, and now I can lock it in and I can go, okay? So underneath it. Make sure it's underneath so that you have that trap so that I can finish. See how I get that head twisting? I get all that motion, right? Okay, makes sense? So you can use a gable grip, you can use this grip, it really doesn't matter, whichever one. I'll play around with different ones, whatever I can get to. It doesn't really matter. Okay, makes sense? Okay, let's give it a try. Okay, so how's that working for everybody? Making sense? Okay, so Connor, can I borrow you for a second? I'll get the gi option over here quick. All right, so if you go down. So if you have the gi on, I like to use this position too. And what I will do, let's turn out this way. What I will do is I come in, I cut. So if you're trying to get underneath someone's head, like for a rear naked choke or whatever, start with the fingers or get your knuckles like this. Okay? Don't try to put a fist there. because you can cut and then the chin comes up. And then what I do is I pull this back and I lock and make sure my shoulder is in behind his head. Okay, this is very uncomfortable. Then I feed the collar to the choking hand. Don't ever do this, because as I reach up, I lose the connection around the head. So I come up and I pull it across. Okay, sometimes if I have to, I can choke him here as well. Okay, I feed that tight and I lock. I want my shoulder right in behind that curvature of his head, and I crunch in, and I like to grab the far side, because now I can twist his spine. Pull my elbow in, okay? I'm in here. Now all I have to do is a little pull. Versus if I get here, right now, if you move your hips around, like he can move, right? He can kind of move and he can kind of straighten out, and I can start to lose it a little bit. Once I'm in here and I lock this and now I pull here, he's not going anywhere. Now I can start my bow and arrow action, okay? So just remember, when you're doing that, boom, come in, lock it in tight, right? Saying hello, I can choke him from here if I want. Boom, typically what I'll do here is I'll ditch and I come over top, blocking the elbow so that he cannot come over and fight it, and now I finish. Okay, so you guys with the no gi can do this. People with the gi, feed, here, reach. And this is why I want to be unweighted and I can crunch, and I'm driving his head forward. So it's very difficult for him to try to push back or try to flatten out, and I can grab and I pull it in. And now I'm here, and I can be, do you want to tap or do you want to go to sleep? Okay, makes sense? Can you see it again? All right, just remember, go cut in underneath, pull that chin. The no gi version. I'm gonna bring my elbow inside now here so that it's blocked. Okay, you can probably see that there's an armbar here as well, okay? And I can finish it using the same type of motion. Okay, so if you've got a gi, try the bow and arrow. If you don't, we'll call this kind of like a no gi bow and arrow.
Is that legal?
Yeah, because well, I'm not, the pressure's not going on his trach, it's still going on his neck.
Yeah.
And if you do it fast and the ref doesn't see it, beautiful. Okay, let's go. Okay, so I don't want to get too detailed into how we take the back and how we get into the position, but I'll just show you one of my favorite ways of doing it. So once I get here, I don't like to play, when I play seatbelt, I really like to get the person low. So their shoulders are into my chest, because here I have a little bit more control on them, and my feet are further away, so it's hard for them to grab my feet, right, and start to play with them. And usually when they do that, they'll open it up, and I can get the rear naked choke from here. So what I do is I play the straight jacket. So I come in and you grab the blade of the hand here and the blade of the hand here, and you pull them in. And what this does now, it gives me that opening, and they drop and pop, and I hold this. People don't like this, okay? Even with gi, I use this grip. I use as many no gi grips and gi as I can, because it annoys the hell out of people. Then I'll just push it down and cover it, and look, I'm in position right away. I can still play with this hand and control it, and we'll talk about setting stuff up, but it's a really nice control position, right? And I can start choking while I'm still controlling the hand from here. Okay, so that's one way to do it. There's lots of ways. I mean, you can fall to the side in the traditional way, and then hook it, and then sit up, and pushing on that 45-degree angle power line to get up here. There's lots of ways to do it, but the key is I want this arm trapped so that now I have that high level of control with my feet in my knees, that I can start playing with his head, and I can start playing with his arms. Okay? So let's just come back to the center for a second. So now, let's look at a few options of what I can do. So that's the choke. So from here, let's set up the armbar. So what I'll do from here is, as I have this grip, I like to switch to a Kimura. Okay, so if you're in Sven's class yesterday, he was kind of showing, ways to use the Kimura grip. So when I use the Kimura grip, the middle finger at the wrist here, and I take my middle finger and I put it at my wrist. And what that does, you can see there's no opening. Okay, when I use a standard, kind of the traditional grip, where I'm grabbing here and here, you guys can see the space. Okay, whenever there's space, that means there's room and opportunity for him to go. So I like to slide down at the end of the lever and on the other side. And now I also have the ability to have elbow on elbow so that I can move my shoulder and have a lot of maneuverability of his arm. Okay, versus being kind of over here. If he's strong, right, he can push out. All it's holding on now are my fingers, and he can push out and he can twist. When I'm in here, it makes it very difficult for him to move. I can pin that arm to my chest, and I got a high level of control. And this one, it doesn't matter if you use thumbs in or out. It becomes now a preference of what you want to do. It really doesn't matter. So from here, I have two options for the armbar. One, this is the position, this is the time that you can actually cross your feet, and I can use, okay, for kind of a grip. And I pinch and I extend, but I'm not leaning back at this point. I'm still on my butt and I'm extending. So I'm pinching, I'm bringing his elbow away from his hip. When his elbow leaves his hip, he's weak, right? And especially when I bring it up towards his shoulder line, he becomes weak. So I'm here and I can still kind of get that head crushing motion. I want to pull that in. I'm not going to let this disconnect from my upper body. I will hook, like I'm going to rear naked choke his wrist, and I will pull his knuckles towards my chest. At this point now, I'm using multiple directions. I'm going to twist and come back. Two hands on one. I'm going to push it over my hip and down. Okay? If I'm here, see how much mobility he has? Right? I'm getting nothing. I have to lift my hips. But when I bring it over here, it goes. Okay? So I'm going to push it over and pull it down into the empty space. This is really hard for him to try to get back. Here, right? So yeah, see, you can still twist and turn. When I get it over here and I lock it in, it's very different. And so one more time. So we get in this position. I'm going to set up my Kimura grip. Okay, I'm going to show you two different ways to set up the armbar from here. I have the grip. Okay? I'm going to cross my feet, push out, so I'm using the mechanical advantage of my legs to pop his elbow up. Okay? Pull this in, rear naked choke it. Twist to start twisting his arm in and over, boom. So kind of rule of thumb, and I picked this up from when Danaher did his videos, and I really like it. If I have his right arm, I break it over my right hip. If I have his left arm, I break it over my left hip. That's the wedge that I want. There's no space here. I keep pushing it over. I park it till it won't go any further. Tilt my hip a little bit and pull it down. Okay? This is very strong because it takes all the slack out of the shoulder and out of the elbow. So don't rip on it. Go very slow with this. Okay? Makes sense? But I'm still engaging. So I'm very tight here. So even if I don't have the arm, if he's trying to move around, it's very difficult. And I can sit up. I can do sit-ups while he's trying to move around all day, right? How's he doing, coach? How's he doing, coach? Right? You should be able to do that and have a level of control and still be able to maneuver up and down without releasing that grip. Okay? Make sense? Let's give it a try. So I feel okay? So what I like about this armbar setup is it stretches out the arm completely. It kind of takes it high, up, and it twists, right? So it takes all the slack out of the shoulder and out of the elbow. So it makes, and once again, when I'm in that control position, you're not going to do your hitchhiker, twister, escape out of that, which is nice. So let's look at another scenario for the armbar. So let's say I've got my position here, but this time I haven't trapped the arm. Okay, I can still have a high level of control here without trapping the arm, but I haven't got to it for some reason. Okay, and that's fine. So what I'm going to do, and maybe he's controlling if he's got his gi on and he's really defending and he's keeping that arm tight. I'm cool with that, as long as I have my Kimura grip. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna squeeze and bring his head up. I'm going to scrape this over his face, right? I'm scraping, boom, over his nose, and I jam it down inside. So now that I have this, okay? So I'm still controlling. Now I can pop my leg over, and I like to give a kick. What it does, it's a shock, okay? And it gets his head turning away from me. Okay, I don't want him looking into me, because if he can look this direction, that's where his power is going to generate. So sometimes I'll sit here and give my opponent a little pump while I'm working on what I need to do, okay? And I'm still using this as a control, so boom. Now I do the same thing. So he's holding on here, I don't care. I'm gonna hook, come up like I'm gonna comb my hair, right? I connect. Now I'm totally connected to my upper body. Wherever my upper body goes, wherever my head goes, that arm's coming with me. And now I can give it the pop. Once again, now I come in, standard kind of armbar position, bring it over, and break. Okay? So we're here. I haven't trapped the arm, he's defending it, or maybe he's only got one arm, okay? So I'm here. I'm gonna do the same thing with my knees. Boom, base out, bring it up. Over that nose. So be gentle when you do this and jam it. Now this leg's gonna come up and I'm gonna kick. And as I kick, I pull in. So I get this extension on that shoulder. Okay, and I get him going the other direction. Now I do the same thing. I keep this connected. Yeah, he's holding on. There's wrist locks. Okay, I like wrist locks, but a lot of people complain, oh, you wrist lock me, doesn't count. Right? Doesn't matter. I'm gonna come in underneath. Get the same thing. This time I'm gonna come and I'm gonna get the assistance. So my body's in the right position. Boom, squeeze my knees, pull, 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 pull. Get it over, 2 hands on, push it over, shimmy my hip a little bit, and pull it down. Okay, makes sense? Need to see it again? One more time? All right. So I get him in the Kimura position. Don't have his hand yet, that's fine. I'm gonna use the same motion of bringing my knees in. So it helps lift him up and makes it tight. I'm gonna slide it up. See, this is how he's gonna get cauliflower. He's gonna get cauliflower nose. And I bring it right across, right? I don't want him this to be comfortable, right? And I jam it down. Now I'm gonna bring my leg up quick for 1 second and I'm gonna kick it. And as I do that, I bring this in, boom. Sometimes I have to give it a little extra to have the stocking come up. Now, if you're here and he starts to come up and you lose it, right here. Now, you'll get the arm, okay? The little nutcracker. You guys can play with that a little bit. But once I get here, I rear naked choke it, right? Pulling, pulling, pulling. Now, I can slide. I never lose contact. His thumbs up, push it over, see the angle that it's on, turn my hip, and pop. Okay?
Do you do the nutcracker?
Yep. Everyone loves that one. So I get it over here, and I'm in this position, and I get it over. And for some reason, I haven't cut my angle, I haven't got yet, so I sit. So what's nice about this is I have the wedge in. So all I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna reach behind, I'm gonna flare my foot, okay? I'm gonna grab, come in as deep behind as I can, grab my shin, and now all I'm gonna do is, I don't know, what's that, the doogie? Whatever, and I'm just gonna crack. Some people will tap on this, but usually what happens is that arm comes open. And now I come back for the finish. Okay? I've had people tap from the nutcracker. They're typically white belts because they're uncomfortable. But what will happen is you get that twist, right? So that you get whatever grip they have, you'll get enough extension and force on it. And they're thinking about that, and then you can drive it back down and then go for that arm. Okay, so try both. All right, let's go. Okay, so let's bring it back in. How's that feel? Okay, it's a little mean. Okay. You're not gonna make a lot of friends doing it this way, but hey, we're not here making cookies, right? So let's come back inside. I know Greg, this Jay Bell would approve of this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to go over, a couple things from here once again. So when I'm in this position, I still want to pinch my knees. It helps, look, it cranks his head, and it makes it easy for me to slide this up and keep his head in position and drive it down. I come up quick and I kick it over, boom. If he still has his hands connected, that's fine. That's why I want to lean forward. I can even drive my elbow into him, depending on how much I like my training partner or my opponent, and give a little. This is important because now I have my posterior chain and everything connected, right? I can look and now I can pull. I'm strong here, right? I may not be strong enough to do it here without disconnecting, right? And getting my whole body to disconnect. So I want to be here so that as I go back, I'm not losing any of that connection. Boom, right? I'm strong at this position. Don't let this go now until I get the wrist down here. Some people like to use, this grip, which is fine as well, if that's where you need to be to figure out where the thumb needs to be. But I like just to, once again, slide right up to where my middle finger kind of reaches the wrist, okay? Because then if I have to wrist lock them, I'm in position to do that, okay? So just for, fun, we got a couple minutes here. If I'm here, right, and I'm having a hard time, and I love this, okay, I'll add the wrist lock as added bonus. I'll lock it in, I come in. Bring those fingers down and just grab, don't grab the fingers, I grab the joints, okay, the root knuckles. I grab those and I squeeze his hand. And now I'm gonna twist it up towards me, okay? Okay. If anyone's done Aikido or traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, or I've done Hapkido in my past, this is a beautiful wrist lock, okay? And he's not getting out of it. And now, boom, I can still apply. So this is a danger. I'll always look for that boom and grab. Flick it out, but I'm not trying to do this, right? Because I'm not strong here to do this. I want to squeeze his fingers, lock my elbows in, and see, look what happens when I lock my elbows in. Those fingers come up, and then now I just, right? Like I'm trying to throw something over my shoulder, okay? Just very easy flick. So either you get the wrist lock or he lets go, right? And if you don't get the wrist lock and he lets go, I'm still in a perfect position to get the armbar. So if I can trust you guys not to break anyone's wrists, you guys want to try that? All right. You need to see it again? One more time. Okay. So we're here. Like when I see this, I'm like, oh, fat kid in a candy store. I love this. So I'm going to lock it in, boom, and I'm going to slide right over, right? I still keep connection, right? I'm still keeping that connection. I'm not going to just let it go, right, and give him an opportunity to do something like this, right? I want to be here, so I slide it over. So now I catch it. Okay, I just catch those fingers. I'm not pulling it until I lock my wrist in. Now I have it in. Now it's just a little turn into me. And if I have to bring my arm up to do that, I can. But this will usually be enough even before he taps that they're going to let go. And then I can finish it off. Okay? Don't grab the single digits. Grab right around here. Okay, the knuckles that you punch with, that's where I want to do it. Collapses the hand in, so it takes all the strength away from it, right? We all had that uncle, shake my hand, and they crushed it. That's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm weakening that grip, so when it goes in, so just look, when it goes in, my hand wants to turn into the wrist lock. It's a natural progression for it to go into that wrist lock. If I'm here just trying to push, if guys are strong or women are strong, you're not going to get it. But as soon as you squeeze that, it breaks into the structure and the integrity of that wrist, and you're going to be able to go in. Okay? If you want to, just do this to yourself for a second, and you'll see. Okay? Oh, try to tap yourself down, right? But that's kind of the motion I want to get into. Okay, we called this, when I was doing Hapkido, Z arm lock, because your arm's in a Z tight position, and once again, it's unnatural. Okay? It's a lot of pressure on the shoulder, on the elbow, and then on the wrist joint. Okay, so let's give that a quick try. Because people are having a little bit of, I see people kind of doing more of a traditional wrist lock, which is fine. You can get what you get. But when I'm here, watch what I do. So the hand that's hooking and controlling the arm, stay. So grab your grip. The hand, my free hand. So in this case, my right hand. I'm just gonna slide it over his wrist. Okay. So if we were gonna be, you know, over my palm over the back of his hand. Okay. So I slide that and I grab the fingers. So I'm not twisting this because I'm still keeping. I can still keep my elbow in to control, right? If I want to bail on this, I still have that motion. So I'm just letting go of my Kimura grip, thumb up, and grab. So my thumb should be around the pinky. His pinky thumb, and my pinky should be the inside of his thumb. Squeeze. Flare it up. Okay? I push it in. Push and up. You didn't tap that. Okay? So don't try to grab this. If your elbow's coming up, you're disconnecting. This is just an opportunity of, can I scare him, or is he going to be dumb enough to leave it there? And I'll get him. Okay? So very quick on this, like another minute or two, because I have one more position I want to work on. All right, so get Matt to go back down. So this time, I'm gonna have my control position, okay? So I'm here and I have this. And for whatever reason, I decide like I can't get him to choke here. Yeah, he's doing something like he's defending and I can't really get the arm and I don't wanna play that. So I wanna get a little bit higher level of control. So what I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna grab my foot and I'm gonna cut it across, triangle, put this in behind his back, okay? Now I've got that elbow as far away from that hip as I possibly can, and now I'm sitting up on his shoulder, on his head, okay? Now, I can still go for the arm break if I want, or I can choke him. Either one. Or I could wrist lock them. Okay? There's lots of options that I have. But the key is I get here and I lock this in behind so that I have a really strong ability to post. And now it's really up to me what I want. Maybe I'm gonna swing in here and I go under the arm for the break, or I break his arm and I choke him at the same time.
How is that the pressure in the very, very last choke?
Yeah, I'll show you. So I'm here, we're playing, I just don't like what's going on. You know, maybe he's bucking or he's a big person and I can't get it. So as he goes, I slide it up and I pull it in. Okay, I don't leave my leg way out here where his shoulder can drop. I still keep my wedge in and I'm here strong. Okay, and I'll wait here for a second and maybe now I have to threaten the arm. The hand does not leave until the foot's over and I tuck it in behind. Okay, now I have this position. From here, I'm probably going to go for some kind of like shoulder stretch. Okay? If I want to get the triangle choke, okay, I can't pull on the head, and I'm not a believer in pulling the head from triangle chokes because it's not really a choke, then it's cranky. So I come in underneath and I come in here over top. Right now, I can get that compression. Right, I fill all the gap. My leg is on his own, is on the back of his arm. This comes in, so now I have filling another gap between his arm and my arm, his arm and my arm, and on my shin. Everything's closed in as tight as it can be. I squeeze my legs and I extend my arm, so I'm pushing. If you can't see what his head's doing right now, come on around. Come around this way. When I squeeze my arms, I'm pushing his head in, right? So I get that squeeze and a little bit of a twist, okay? I typically get this, sometimes you don't, but it's enough usually then that I can get the arm. And I really like this, because this is horrible, right? They have like, I can turn, no. And now you have kind of like an inverted bitch lock that I can also turn into a wrist lock at the same time. So once you get to this position, you can twist and turn this arm whatever way you want. Yeah, and he can try to get up all he likes. and I have full extension of my hips, right? So, a lot of power in this position. So quickly, one more time. So I'm here, I just don't like what's going on. I don't lose that connection to the head, I keep it up. It allows me to pull this across, and I chop it up, right in underneath his armpit. Get it as high as I can. And I can get my foot on top of my leg, I know I'm tight, okay? I'll typically grab his arm, just so that he's thinking I'm gonna get my arm ripped off while I switch the transition. And I can hang out here all day. And if he wants to roll back, then I'll just posture. He's not gonna turn into me. And as he goes to turn into me, see how his arm's exposed? Now I can break it, okay? Yeah, so be careful from this position because you've got the shoulder completely immobilized. I typically don't even go for a straight armbar from here. I just bring it in this way. Same thing, I bring the knuckles into the chest and I put it this way. Almost like I have a socket wrench. Okay, makes sense? So this time his thumb's down and I break his elbow, once again, over the hip. Or slide in and finish the triangle. Make sense? Okay. That's all the time that we have for today. Thanks for coming out. Like I said, I'm here the rest of the week. If you have any questions, ask me. The main thing I want you to take out of this, I know the submissions and all that stuff are cool, but really the controlling position is the important. If you do not control the position and you do not control the submission before you get it, you have no right to go after it. Right? That's how injuries are going to happen with your training partners, and that's when you're going to really lose position and you may abandon a submission and go, it doesn't work for me. The reason why it's not working for you is because you don't have good control of it. Right? None of these submissions did I ever need to feel the need to like rip at my opponent and use 100% strength. I've got them locked in, I've got them thinking about it, mentally breaking them down, going, how am I going to get out? How am I going to get out as I struggle, make it tighter, 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 and then just slowly start putting it on. So at any time they have the ability to tap. And then if they don't want to tap, at least you've given them the chance. All right? Thanks for coming out. I'll be teaching again on Saturday morning first thing. I guess I got the only class on Saturday, so hope you come out. It'll be some Kizakatami and reverse Kizakatami controls and submissions from there. So thank you, and let's get a picture. Right.